I avoided resin 3D printing for years. I thought it was messy, smelly, dangerous, and honestly, it was kind of intimidating. But this machine absolutely changed my mind. This is the Photon P1, Anycubic's newest prosumer resin 3D printer, and they were kind enough to send it to me a few weeks ago for testing. Today we're going to be going through everything you need to know about this machine specifically and how the experience overall compares to FDM. So let's get into it.
The unit itself showed up incredibly well packaged without a single scratch or screw out of place. In fact, they did such a good job that the pre-leveling from the factory didn't even need an adjustment on my first print. It's not uncommon when I have new printers arrive that it takes me a few hours to get them set up, so I braced myself for what was to come, but as it would turn out, this was the entire setup process and no further assembly was required. There's a handful of package options you can buy with this printer, and we'll get into the add-on items later, but for now, starting out with what comes with the base model. Of course, the printer itself, then the milled steel build plate, which you won't have to worry about warping on the way that you might with a traditional aluminum plate. And being that this printer is as large as it is, I'm glad that they made this choice. Additionally, you'll get some manuals, tools, scrapers, PPE, everything you need to get started. They do include a USB stick with some test files, but have no fear, you can remotely send prints both through the app and the Photon Workshop. And if for some reason you don't have either of those devices available, you can make almost any adjustment you need right from the printer's touchscreen. But getting into size specs for this printer, we have a quick banana for scale, and with it sitting next to my main FDM printer, you can see that its footprint is almost identical. The machine itself is 325 by 350 by 525 millimeters. And for those of us in the US, I included the Freedom units on screen. One thing to note when you're looking for somewhere to put this printer is that the cover does flip back, causing a larger area to be taken up. Personally, I love not having to worry about where I'm going to put the cover, but if this is a deal breaker for you, there are screws on the side, so in theory, you could just take it on and off. And if you're new to resin printing like me, the placement of this machine is important. For instance, I probably wouldn't place it here or here because of the fumes, and be sure to keep it out of reach of pets and children. I have my whole setup on the silicone mat, which helped with my concerns of the whole area getting messy, because if you do end up with drips or spills, you can just cure it and it peels right off. Fumes and smells were another reason why I had never gotten into resin printing in the past, but one thing that made me really excited is an add-on for the Air Pure 2.0. This is a ventilation system that plugs into the back of the printer and sucks the fumes and smells right out to ensure that you have a clean and safe printing environment. I had been running this printer for a few weeks before the Air Pure showed up, and I just started using it in the last couple of days, and I'll definitely say it made a difference in the fumes I noticed in the room. I wouldn't use this as a reason to throw caution to the wind in terms of PPE. There is still a small gap on the back of the lid, and either way you'll still be opening and closing the printer, letting fumes out. But for $39, I think this is probably my favorite add-on for this printer. But let's get back to the technical features. While you'll see in a lot of their marketing that this printer is designed to sit between the everyday consumer and more industrial level printing, which may lead you to think that this machine is only for pros, but I actually think a lot of those features play really well to somebody who's just getting into resin printing. For example, this textured film that sits between the LCD and the vat. It can reduce peel force by up to 60%, or in simple terms, you're going to get better adhesion and less fails. It has a 14K LCD screen, and shortly we'll check out the level of detail that you get with this. On first pass, I was disappointed that they hadn't gone in the direction of a 16K screen, but the reality is most resins can't take full advantage of that resolution, and the trade-off is they have a tendency to burn out faster. So really, 14K is the best of both worlds, and a reminder that sometimes good things do come in smaller packages. The marketing for this machine also mentions the industrial grade ball screw on the Z-axis quite frequently. I haven't had the P1 long enough to confirm this for myself, but the concept is that over time you won't see degradation in the quality of prints, even from print 1 to 1000. A few other bells and whistles to make note of: it does have a camera for live monitoring and time lapses. Both the build plate and the vat attach with these easy to use clamps, making it super fast to move things around. And as for leveling, they made the process super simple as well. The machine will automatically detect across its 4 sensors if there is a leveling issue, and then all you have to do from there is adjust that sensor with the included Allen keys. I've seen some debate online whether this is truly automatic or if it's assisted, but either way, this feature is very user-friendly and only took a few seconds for me to adjust, regardless of what you want to call it. The vat is also heated and can get up to 40 degrees Celsius. A concern a lot of people have is wanting to put their printers in garages or sheds, but it gets too cold to run the printer effectively, and I think this might be a great option for that. Now granted, I was running this inside my home in Arizona, but as an early stress test, I did open the window next to my printer to let cold air in. It was probably about 45 degrees out, and the vat didn't even try to drop down in temperature, so take that for whatever it's worth. Finally, if you watched some of the earliest videos on the P1, there was a few features that people had concerns with that I'm excited to share Anycubic has decided to make updates on before the first models ship. The first being a readjustment of where the max fill line is on the vat so that you don't accidentally overfill it, and the second being improved UV blocking on the cover. My model actually shipped with this improved cover, and I can say despite me running studio lights, my lava lamps, and a bunch of other crazy lighting in this room, I had no issues whatsoever. But that's enough about the hardware. Let's get into an actual print on this machine. Being that it was my first time I had ever run a resin print, I wanted to keep things simple, so I used Anycubic's standard water wash resin and just ran an exposure test. And after pulling the first print off the plate, suddenly I had felt silly for convincing myself over the years that resin printing would be intimidating, because this truly was a plug and play experience. With that said, I of course always knew that resin printing was great for getting really clean and fine details, but actually seeing this translate in real life is a different ballgame, and not to mention the nearly imperceivable layer lines. Now, seeing this on a test print is one thing, but let's move to something a little more practical that actually goes to a throwback project I ended up abandoning because I couldn't get the level of detail I wanted to on FDM. And of course, that's none other than the custom Keycap series from those of you who are OGs on the channel. At the time when I was doing this project, I convinced myself that there was only a small loss in quality from me running these on FDM. However, if we look at the difference side by side of the layer lines, the surface quality, and the detail, it is not even comparable. Looking at it and handling it, if you didn't just watch me pull this off a 3D printer, I don't think you'd ever assume it was 3D printed. And that's something I've been chasing since getting into the hobby. Now, I won't lie, at this point, I was pretty proud with how far I had come on my resin printing journey in just a few days. However, that's when Anycubic reminded me that it's great I figured out how to use standard resin and all, but this machine's actually capable of so much more. The P1 can handle resins up to an 8,000 CPS, or in beginner terms, those exotic resins that are thick with a bunch of C's at the ends that the professionals use. And even though everything had been going well up until this point, I was pretty nervous with how specific the parameters of this resin had to be, and if I was actually going to be able to make this work on this printer. I loaded up my perforated steel build plates specifically for these thicker resins, dumped in that juicy resin, threw the heater on, said a prayer, and hoped that this wasn't going to be a throwback to when I first got into FDM printing and everything that could go wrong did go wrong. But once again, even pushing the limits of this machine as a beginner, everything went off without a hitch. The truth is, most of us hobbyists probably are not going to be using these types of resins in our day-to-day, but as somebody who started on a really cheap FDM printer and then ended up upgrading it multiple times to be able to have the functionality that I wanted, I really like the idea of just starting on a machine that can grow with you as your projects and skill level grow. So if you foresee future projects requiring resins that are elastic, heat resistant, or wear resistant, then it's definitely worth considering a printer that will support those resins in the future. With that said, there is an add-on option for this perforated steel build plate, which reduces the downward force for these high viscosity resins, which is good and all, but if there's one build plate that has drawn attention to this machine, it's the dual material kit. People either seem to love or hate the idea of this add-on, and it is worth noting that it is not part of the base kit. However, it allows you to print two completely different files in two completely different resin profiles at the same time. The reality is, the person who actually needs this is probably going to be a pretty niche customer, but as somebody with shiny object syndrome, I have to admit, it is pretty cool. One thing to note is that unlike the standard vat, this one is not heated. If you're somebody who prints relatively small models and find yourself flipping back and forth between different types of resin pretty often, then this may be an interesting option not only from a resin saving perspective, but also a time saving perspective.
If you're interested in this machine, there's a little more than a month left on the Kickstarter. The base price is $499 and it's expected to ship in January. Once this machine does go into regular production, the price is expected to be $799. So if you get it through the Kickstarter, you are getting a pretty substantial discount. Final verdict on not only this machine, but resin 3D printing in general. After years of being told it was hard and it was scary and it was dangerous, I really don't think that so many of those things were true. While I don't see resin 3D printing replacing FDM printing, it really has opened up a whole new world of projects and quality that was previously unobtainable for me. Additionally, this printer was easy to use from day one, meaning that I could focus on my projects right away and not have to worry about troubleshooting. Best thing in my opinion is that I know that this machine has room to grow as my projects and skill level grow, so it really is a buy once, cry once type of situation. With that said, stay tuned for much more on this machine. Thank you so much to everybody for sticking around to watch, and thank you to Anycubic for sending this out to us. Happy 3D printing, and we'll see you in the next video.